when romance turns into a way of feeling good about ourselves, when it becomes a shortcut to feeling whole, fulfilled, connected, that's when it gets dangerous. You like lose your bearings, you give up your peace, your self-respect, your stability, all for the hope of getting back what you think you actually really need.
Yeah.
And it is like, again, I use this phrase again because a baited hook. And it can just drag us around. So this is the Bhagavatam today. The story of Urvashi and Pururava is what we're getting into. It hits this theme head on, that heartbreak, that confusion, that desperation we feel when we're attached to romance or love in this material world. There is love. That's what we're shooting for, but not of this world love. And there's a separation. It's like what the difference between iron and gold. They're both metals.
Yeah.
They both have some, they both appear the same. Maybe you can't tell the difference with your eyes closed, but one has some incredible worth and one is practically worthless. So this ongoing thing, the desire for real love as opposed to temporary love. And we've all can tell our own story of woe with temporary love. And now we're asked as not just spiritualists, but as thoughtful people, you got to distinguish between the two. You got to break the Hollywood conception of love. You have to look deeper. You have to have some, we can't be short-sighted. We have to have some long-term vision for ourselves and what we really want in this world to make us whole.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. This is Monday, May 5th, 2025, episode 1593. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good morning. It's Makeover Monday. Today's the day. It's a Monday. It's the day to.
It's Wear Your Merch Monday, I thought.
It's Wear Your Merch Monday. It used to be called Makeover Monday, but you can make yourself over wearing merch. You can wear some merch.
Makeover.
We did some merch makeovers by making new beanies, new trucker hats, dad hats. Check out our website, wisdomofthesages.com. Go to the merch tab, and you can get some merch sent to you. Was that your announcement, Mara?
Yeah, that was my announcement.
Oh, Mara, make another announcement.
Well, you can also take a picture of yourself and post it on social media wearing your Wisdom of the Sages gear and tag us in it, and we will share it and repost it.
All right.
Thank you, Mara. Oh, Mara made me the saffron tea again. Wow, it's so good. Thank you. You had a good weekend? You had a good day off there, Kaustubha?
It was a busy day, even though it was a day off, but yeah, it was good.
Good. Anything you want to share?
No, I'm eager. It's a new week. It's a new chapter. We're moving on. We're covering some good stuff here.
Yeah, whole new chapter. And you're coming up for the wedding Thursday. We're going to hang together. You're going to sleep over?
Thursday night. I'll sleep there, and then we'll go up together on Friday, right?
Great.
Okay.
Mara's ready for you. She's going to cook you up a storm.
Is she?
I'm going to greet you.
Is she making the sauerkraut right now? Look out under the bed.
Whatever you want, Baba. Just at your service. Excited to have you.
No, it doesn't
We're
have
going
to
to
be
drive up to
sauerkraut.
Kishori Gopi's auspicious wedding happening in Vermont.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for a nugget, sir?
I am. Who's it from?
Alan Wheelies.
Oh, yeah.
He's a psychoanalyst and author he's an author known for his introspective explorations of human behavior.
I did a little research on him.
Tell me.
He wrote a book. It was published in 1966 called The Illusionless Man. Fantasies and Meditations on Disillusionment. And it sounds interesting. It says, in this work, Wheelis explores the process of disenchantment through a blend of fictional narratives and reflective essays. The narratives, they often portray characters who confront the collapse of their long-held beliefs, leading to a profound sense of disillusionment. And that's something that, we all probably visit at some point in our life. So it's an interesting topic. And anyway, why don't you read the nugget? It's going to tie into what we start to get in. We get into a heavy story today in Bhagavatam. It's pretty
Heavy
intense.
story, and it's a heavy subject, and it's something we can all relate to. The illusionless man is so intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like what we want. We want to be the illusionless being.
Yeah.
And somehow, even with all we know, we can get tripped up again and again.
Yeah, desire is powerful. It can really cloud our perception. Yeah. All right, so what's the nugget?
Here is his nugget. Desire is endless and unappeasable.
Yeah.
Is most intense where the most forbidden, right? The most forbidden things, those are the most intensely we desire.
Okay.
Right?
Taboo.
And is never far from despair.
But that's the heavy. That's the heavy part.
Yeah, it seems like, wait a second, are you kidding? This is going to fulfill everything. If I could just get my hands on this. Yeah. Actually, no. It causes you the most sadness, the most despair. Okay. I'm going to just read it again so people have the capsule of it. Yeah. Desire is endless and unappeasable, is most intense where most forbidden, and is never far from despair. It's like the stronger we desire, the closer we get to despair, yes. Right? Especially when it comes to romantic stuff. Can I quote some Youth of Today lyrics for you?
Okay. Yeah, because because our theme that we read in Bhagavatam, it has to do with that romantic, intense romantic desire, right?
Yeah.
Right, what you got?
It was a song called Modern Love Story.
Okay.
And one of the quotes was I really liked from the song, which I still like sing to myself again and again. Are we in love or just love defined on our TV? Right? This is where we get our concept of love, what love is. Love defined on our TV, teaching us what we need. Are we in love or just so alone that we're looking for anyone to hold?
Oh.
What do you think of that?
Introspective lyrics, exploring your own emotions, your own tender teenage emotions?
Yeah, but I think it's a truth. I dove into spiritual literature as a young man, and and I reflected on them, and I'd write lyrics from them because I felt like these are eternal truths. Yeah. And truthfully, and it's not a Hindu truth, that's for sure. These are spoken about in spiritual teachings throughout the world. But when romance turns into a way of feeling good about ourselves, when it becomes a shortcut to feeling whole, fulfilled, connected, that's when it gets dangerous. You lose your bearings. You give up your peace, your self-respect, your stability, all for the hope of getting back what you think you actually really need.
Yeah.
And it is like, again, I use this phrase again because a baited hook. And it can just drag us around. So this is the Bhagavatam today. The story of Urvashi and Pururava is what we're getting into. It hits this theme head on, that heartbreak, that confusion, that desperation we feel when we're attached to romance or love in this material world. There is love. That's what we're shooting for, but not of this world love. And there's a separation. It's like what the difference between iron and gold. They're both metals.
Yeah.
They both have some, they both appear the same. Maybe you can't tell the difference with your eyes closed, but one has some incredible worth and one is practically worthless. So this ongoing thing, the desire for real love as opposed to temporary love. And we've all can tell our own story of woe with temporary love. And now we're asked as not just spiritualists, but as thoughtful people, You got to distinguish between the two. You got to break the Hollywood conception of love. You have to look deeper. You have to have some, we can't be short-sighted. We have to have some long-term vision for ourselves and what we really want in this world to make us whole. What do you think?
You know, it's this classic story, Pururava
Pururava.
and Urvashi. Urvashi is this famous celestial Apsara, right? She sings, she dances, she's the most beautiful
Hmm.
damsel of the heavenly planets. And you know, she kind of like performs in Indra's court, right? And she's just so attractive, so beautiful, just so stunning, just such charm and charisma.
Hmm.
And we see this powerful king just reduced to like a begging, desperate man by her charm, you know. And it's kind of like the Bhagavatam is handing us this psychological case study. You know, here it is, right?
Right.
Here's this man that was, you know, influential, powerful, dynamic, you know,
Thoughtful, intelligent,
yeah,
deep.
yeah. I you know, I kind of get reminded of you know how in that show The Twilight Zone, you know, like Rod's was it Sterling, or I think it
Rod
was Rod
Sterling?
Serling.
Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart.
It wasn't Rod Stewart. But that would be funny if Rod Stewart
Rod
came
Stewart is
out.
the new host of The Twilight Zone.
Rod Serling. He used to come out dressed in his suit, you know, like there would be kind of like the introduction of the story, then he would just like kind of step out and he would say, submit it for your approval. The case of, you know, like you know, like that. And it's like, here it is, like submitted for your approval, you know, the case of the king, you know, Pururava, and how like this powerful, intelligent, brilliant, influential man enters into despair because he just lost his clarity. And as you were saying, Raghunath, I think that despair, most of us, practically all of us, at some point go through it in our life where we just become, you know, where we cry these tears and blubber and beg and, you know, to have this person back. And that person, you know, Urvashi, she's going to be real straightforward with him, like really straightforward. And that pain that he feels where she's just like, she's going to say some things about women, right? That are going to be pretty heavy, right? And we'll have to approach those carefully in context. But she's going to say, hey, you know, she's going to more or less preach him like, pull yourself together, you know, like imagine how he becomes this like blubbering, begging fool. And she's kind of like saying, you got to pull yourself together, you know.
Well, the fact is, men are notoriously falling for this bait again and again. It says it speaks less of a man's character than a woman, and I think women have their own bait that they go for in Maya. And these are, of course, they're both generalizations, and not all men are like this. We shouldn't think all men are weak, but basically, whether we're a man or a woman, there is some kryptonite out there for us that takes us from a person with integrity, who walks a path, who has some knowledge, who has some insight, who's even considered wise. And at any moment, the kryptonite breaks us down on our knees, and we become pathetic. And historically, you can find characters like that, but you don't even have to go outside of yourself to find those times when you yourself swerved off the integrity trail and got caught in a ditch, and then ended up chanting the mantra, what was I thinking? Oh, woe is me. And we become pathetic. And unless we learn, and it happens.
It happens.
But can we learn from what happens? That's the real question.
Okay. Well, that's the thing here, right? Yeah, we're going to hear a tale that we're meant to understand something from. I think, and we'll get there. I don't know if we'll get there today, but Urvashi will say these heavy things about women and the hearts of women. And I think on one hand, she's illustrating the lower nature that is particularly feminine, right? It may be there in men too, but you know, men, you know, in a sense, there's a toxic masculinity, there's a toxic femininity, and she's speaking about like when femininity gets toxic. But I think there's a broader message there that, you know, that when we're searching for fulfillment in an illusory material through the fulfillment of material desire through the senses, the material energy will make a fool of us and leave us crying and leave us begging and leave us in despair. It will happen, and we're going to watch that happen to this king.
Yeah, you know what? Toxic masculinity is real. Toxic femininity is real too. Like, let's not forget there's also a toxic femininity as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, Kaustubha.
Okay. You ready to dive in?
And we're trying to become untoxic. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're trying to become untoxic.
Detoxify.
Okay. Write that down, Mira. Detoxify.
Okay.
Toxify. Narayanam namaskutyannaram chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam adirayat. Before we start in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes. With the torchlight of knowledge, I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 14, Text 1. King Pururava enchanted by Urvashi.
Raghunath, this chapter again, there's so many. I'm really looking at it now. All throughout the ninth canto, we have like chapters that where the family tree is just kind of coming down, and we just followed the path in the previous chapters. We've been following the path along the dynasty of kings that descend from the god of the sun, Vivishvan. Now we're switching over.
Switching dynasties?
Switching over to the moon.
Okay.
And so the beginning, let's not go, again, this chapter is going to have there's going to be more chapters in the ninth canto where we're just coming down that family tree. But why don't we go ahead and move ahead? It begins with the moon god Soma, and it talks about his descendants.
Okay.
And then we'll get to, and that'll take us to Puru, who's going to have 6 sons. We saw how from the dynasty of the sun, it came down to Lord Ram. That was like Lord Ram's dynasty. Ram appears in the dynasty of the sun. And what this whole ninth canto is going to do now it's going to start coming down the dynasty of the moon. And the dynasty of the moon is going to have this Puru, who's going to have 6 sons. And then those sons they're going to come down, and a lot of the famous characters in the Mahabharata are going to be here. Like the Ramayana had a lot to do with the moon. The Mahabharata is going to have a lot to do with the sun, and that's
Let me ask Mara a trivia question. Lord Krishna is born in the Moon Dynasty or the Sun Dynasty, Mara? Come on! For 1 million rupees?
The moon and Ram's the sun?
Yeah. Good answer. The Moon Dynasty.
Thank you for taking away.
Well, I had, because you were about to share it, and I wanted to trivia, get her in a trivia and see if she
Okay,
could
but
get it.
here's the point: is what's happening in this canto, is it's really all about these family trees, and now we're coming down the family tree of the moon, the Moon Dynasty, and we're going to have more chapters where it's just giving. But what it's doing is it's occasionally highlighting one story, We hear names, and then there's a highlight. So we're going to have a highlight now on King Pururava. But it's going to go down until it's going to get to Krishna, right? We're going to hear, 20 or 30 verses on King Pururava. But when we get to Krishna, we're going to get 90 chapters. It's like, that's, it's going to illustrate how important and how much the life of Krishna. He's not just another person, not even just another avatar. He is the Swayam Bhagavan. He is the original. But now we're coming down and we're going to hear a little bit about Pururava. And so why don't we pick up in text 17?
Sure. I had a dream about you last night, by the way. Side note, Kaustubha. It's a squirrel, but we're friends and we're talking, so I thought I'd share that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and you're not even interested what it's about. Okay, whatever. That's who you want to be today. Text 15 and 16, 17, 18. Having been cursed by Mitra and Varuna, the celestial woman Urvasi had acquired the habits of a human being. Therefore, upon seeing Pururava, the best of males, whose beauty resembled Cupid, so he's no schlep himself. Pururava's he was resembled Cupid. They say Cupid's breathtaking.
Although he is an earthling. She's coming from like a higher level kind of place, but he's like on a super high level on the human earthly.
She controlled herself and then approached him. When King Pururava saw Urvasi, his eyes became jubilant, and in the ecstasy of joy, and the hairs on his body the hairs on his body stood on end. With mild, pleasing words, he spoke to her as follows.
Okay. Now I did a little research on Urvasi.
Oh yeah, she's everywhere.
She's
You see her, you hear about her everywhere, and she is described as the most breathtaking.
She's in the Vedas, she's in the Ramayana, she's in the Mahabharata. She's also in a lot of famous literature that, came after, like Kalidas writes about her, the famous poet Kalidas and so on.
Can you name what she did in the Ramayana?
In the Ramayana? No, it doesn't come to mind.
I think she was one of the temptresses of Vishwamitra when Vishwamitra was doing tapas to try to get powers, and then the gods or somebody sent Urvasi to distract him.
Okay. Well, in general, she's always symbolizing this, incredible beauty and artistic excellence and feminine grace and the name Urvasi is derived from the Sanskrit roots uru, which means wide or broad, and vashi, to control or attract, meaning one who controls with her wide-reaching allure, or one who attracts universally. Okay, so now here she is, right? He sees her immediately. Just the vision of her is so powerful. And now we're going to hear about, the birth of his infatuation for her. And ultimately, like, his emotional dependence on her.
King Pururava said, Oh, most beautiful woman, you are welcome. Please sit here and tell me what I can do for you. You may enjoy with me as long as you desire. Let us pass our life happily in a sexual relationship.
That's a straightforward approach.
Yeah, that's not beating around the bush at all. Hey, come on, what kind of entrance is that?
All right.
Urvasi replied, Oh, most handsome man, who is the woman whose mind and sight would not be attracted by you? If a woman takes shelter of your chest, she could not refuse to enjoy with you in a sexual relationship. My dear King Pururava, please give me protection. Please give protection to these two lambs who have fallen down with me. Although I belong to the heavenly planets and you belong to Earth, I shall certainly enjoy sexual union with you. I have no objection to accepting you as my husband, for you are superior in every respect.
Okay, so she's
getting a little hot and steamy this early in the morning. I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, he sees her, and it's like the pleasure that his eyes desire to, the beauty that his eyes desire to see. And then to hear her speak those words, right? Like when we're moving around through a virtual reality we're trying to take the role of that central, most attractive being, who is ultimately Krishna, right?
Yeah.
But when a woman with her beauty starts speaking those words to him, it's like, this is what my heart desires. It's first of all to be seen this way by this woman. It's just, it's making him, it's giving him the feelings that he's desiring to feel. Right.
Romantic attraction just keeps you in Maya, because at no time more than now are you forgetting that you're a spiritual being, that she's a spiritual being. You're completely convinced, I am a man. You are a woman.
Yeah. And
I am, not only that,
successful,
I am the main
attractive.
character. I'm
Yeah.
here to enjoy the material world. I'm the main character. Krishna's not the main character. I'm the main character.
That's right. And she's got her conditions, though. She's kind of like coming from the heavens. Somehow she has these two lambs that are like her pets, I guess. And so she's going to lay down her conditions. I'll be with you, even though I'm kind of a higher status.
I thought that was an allegory for her breasts.
Where you got that?
I don't know, because it's a whole sexual banter going on.
We'll be
Sometimes
back
people-
tomorrow with a Freudian analysis of Raghunath.
I'm in the midst of like this is like a sexual chat going on. They're both, and so I thought she was being
No.
poetic.
I thought she was being poetic. No, I don't
Lay
believe.
down with my
That's there.
lambs.
Okay.
Excuse me. Hare Krishna. Okay. Urvashi said, my dear hero, only preparations made of ghee will be my eatables, and I shall not want to see you naked at any time, except at the time of sexual intercourse.
Okay. So
I get
she's
that.
yeah.
Sometimes men are gross with their clothes off.
Mhm.
Maybe that's... The great-minded King Pururava accepted these proposals.
So she's laid down some conditions, right? And he doesn't hesitate. He agrees to her terms immediately. He's
Mhm.
kind of beginning to submit to her will, right?
Right?
He doesn't say, he doesn't question this. If you love me, why are you setting these conditions?
Sure.
Okay,
Whatever you want. Whatever you want, as long as I can get the desired result.
Yeah. He's starting to handing over his own independence, you could say, and he's not thinking, is this a healthy relationship we're getting into?
He's not syncing with his head anymore.
Yeah. He's just seeing her beauty, and there's no mention of virtue or depth of their connection here. They're just basically, we've seen they're both attracted to each other.
Mm.
They both have beauty, they both have charm, and that's going to be the nature of his desire. Okay.
Oh, beautiful one. Your beauty is wonderful. And your gestures are also wonderful, right? Little sexual gestures, lifting of the eyebrow, winking, smiling coyly, looking down at the floor, looking back up at him.
Yes.
Therefore,
gestures, huh?
I know all the gestures. Mara uses them on me on a regular basis. Lifts her
That's
eyebrow.
how she has you wrapped around her little
wrapped around her knitting needles. Therefore, since you have come of your own accord from the heavenly planets, who on earth would not agree to serve a demigoddess such as you?
Yeah. You could just see, like, his desires starting to dominate his intelligence. He's got this object of enjoyment, and it's overwhelming him, and he's just kind of handing off his clear, discernment, his intellect.
The best of human beings, Pururava, began freely enjoying the company of Urvashi, who engaged in sexual activities with him in many celestial palaces. Chaitraroth and Nandana Kanana, where the demigods enjoy.
So
So
she
they're
was
going
able to take him up.
Different pleasure places.
Mhm.
Urvashi's body was as fragrant as the saffron of a lotus. What does that mean, Mara? Saffron of a lotus? The stamen?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, because saffron is
Saffron-
usually from the crocus flower. So
Interesting.
if a lotus flower has a little
Perhaps it's
saffron
the part of the
stems-
lotus, the most fragrant part of the
Yeah.
part that gives the lotus its fragrance.
Mm. Being enlivened by the fragrance of her face and body, Pururava enjoyed her company for many days with great jubilation.
Okay, now, so his material desire is being fulfilled.
Yep. He's knee deep in Maya, we call it.
But we know that the crash is going to come, you know.
Yeah,
And this is the seed of that now is going to come up.
Not seeing Urvasi in his assembly, the king of heaven, Indra, said, "Without Urvasi, my assembly is no longer beautiful." Considering this request, he requested the Gandharvas to bring her back to his heavenly planet. Thus, the Gandharvas came to Earth, and at midnight, when everything was dark, they appeared in the house of Pururava and stole the 2 lambs entrusted to the king by his wife Urvasi.
Okay, so they had a strategy.
They were actual lambs.
They were they were
Okay,
lambs.
just-
Yes. That's been clarified.
Yeah.
And they had, you know, apparently they knew about her conditions. And so this was a setup. We'll take the lambs,
Mm.
and they're going to do it at night. And let's just see what happens.
Urvasi treated the 2 lambs like her own sons. Therefore, when they were being taken by the Gandharvas and began crying, the lambs were crying. Urvasi heard them and rebuked her husband. "Now I am being killed," she said, "under the protection of an unworthy husband who is a coward and a eunuch, although he thinks himself a great hero."
Okay,
Oh, that hurts.
ouch.
I know that feeling when you've given your love to a person and they find your weak spot and they cut. They cut, they poke, they cut, and they twist.
Well, we see that his pleasure was based on false ego, and now his pain is based on false ego, right? It's like when she was saying, "Oh, you're so attractive and so handsome. Who's the woman that could control herself in your presence? You are the ultimate man." You know, all that, what is it? Purusha Abhiman, his male ego. She was just stroking that male ego. And for him, it was just the most satisfying words to hear. And now from that very same source that he's developed this strong attachment to, he's getting the exact flip side of the coin. "You coward, you eunuch." You know, she's questioning his manhood now, right? She's criticizing his manhood. And these, you can imagine these words are just like cutting right into his heart, right? This, again, now that's the material nature. The source of the material pleasure becomes the source of the material pain.
Mm.
And the more pleasing it is, the more painful it can be. And as the Nugget was saying, that you know, like the more intense that desire is, you know, the more the closer we are to despair, right? Not just pain, but like full-on despair. Nothing like romantic love sends one into those kind of emotional loops, right?
Check.
Yeah. All right.
Because I depended on him, the plunderers have deprived me of my 2 lambs, and therefore I am now lost. My husband lies down at night in fear, exactly like a woman, although he appears to be a man during the day.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to be my defender. You're supposed to be my protector, my provider, and look at you, you know?
Right, Mara? When there's a noise, do I go look?
Yes, with your house axe.
But she's not afraid. You're the one that's afraid when you hear the noise, like
Are
on
you
the boat.
kidding? I'm out there. I'm the first one out the door with my house axe.
Like on the
This
boat
dude was
that
also
night?
right, though. I'm not usually so scared. I'm usually like, oh, it's
Well, no.
whatever Savite's staying with us.
Look, I'm not saying every man is like this, and I'm not saying every woman is like this, but if there is a noise, I am up like a dog. I can
true.
get out of sleep immediately, and I go right for my house axe. And I have
Okay.
I have an outdoor axe for splitting wood, and
I think you have a couple house axes.
I have a couple of house axes, truthfully,
Okay.
for different parts of the house. Come on, people. If you're okay, I would like a message board to. No, we do this every time. Do people have house weapons? Okay.
Okay.
David Charles Wilson says no. Okay.
Okay, right. Let's not get too carried away here. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Now I'm judging David Charles Wilson like Urvasi judged Pururava. Text 30. Pururava, stricken by the sharp words of Urvasi, like an elephant struck by its driver's pointed rod, became very angry. Not even dressing himself properly, he took a sword in hand and went out naked into the night. Oh, he breaks the other rule.
Yep.
Naked into the night to follow the Gandharvas who had stolen the lambs.
All right. You see, he's responding. He's trying to satisfy her. He's doing all that he can. He's just running out naked just to try to.
Imagine seeing a naked king with a sword.
Yeah, here he comes. So he recovers them, right?
Yeah. After giving up the 2 lambs, the Gandharvas shone brightly like lightning, thus illuminating the house of Pururava. Urvasi then saw her husband returning with the lambs in hand, but he was naked, and therefore she left.
Boom.
Oh, that was
Fickle.
a setup. He got the lambs back.
Yeah.
She didn't see the good in what her husband offered. She just saw how he transgressed a law.
Yeah, we have to understand that it's said that wealth is called chanchalam, right?
Yeah, Lakshmi.
Yeah,
Chanchal.
that chanchalam means
Flickering. It comes and
flickering.
goes.
Yeah,
Comes and
fickle
goes.
here one moment, gone the next. And he had his happiness, his feelings of self-worth. It was all tied to this woman whose nature was very fickle. You could see, right? Oh, even though you were trying to protect my lambs, which is this condition that I said, oh, but you did it naked, and now I saw you, and I'm not gonna say, well, anyway, in this circumstance, in general, I don't want you walking around the house naked, but in this case, it was okay. No, she just, it wasn't pleasing to her mind, and she's like, I'm gone, right? And now she's got like her beauty, is kind of like a ticket out of there, right? Like, I'm not. I can just go to the kingdom of Lord Indra if I want. I can go to the planet of Indra if I want. I don't need you. You know. So she didn't have a real, what you could call a real love. She had an infatuation with him, but it was on a fickle basis, and then she just decides, I'm disappearing, and he's similarly infatuated, and now he's just going to be, now he's going to just be crash. He's going to enter into that despair. Now she's leaving him.
Get ready for the flip side. No longer seeing Urvasi on his bed, Pururava was most aggrieved. Because of his great attraction to her, he was so disturbed.
Ouch.
Thus lamenting, he began traveling about the earth like a madman.
We see that happen, right?
Man, I'm having flashbacks.
Sometimes you're trying to counsel a friend that's going through that. It's like,
forget it. You must have counseled me. I went through a very hard time, probably 16 years ago. Oh, I was like Pururava, walking the streets of New York, like losing my marbles.
there's so many songs about this, right? When you really get lost in that feeling. I remember once when I was a kid, I was probably like, I had my uncle live with, my uncle was like, just 10 years older than me. And like, we shared a bedroom, like when I was growing up. So he was kind of more like a big brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so it must have been like, he must have been like 21 and I was like 11, or he was 20 and I was 10 or something like that. I have this memory in my mind. And we were driving in his car and the radio was playing. And it was playing this song by Bob Dylan, who you were a fan of, right, Raghu?
Yes, I am.
Do you know the song Stop Crying?
No, I don't.
It's a song, the song had just come out. And the song is just like going, stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. Baby, please stop crying. And he turned to me and he said, Dave, someday, I'm just a little kid, right? He said, someday you're going to be sitting next to a girl and this girl is just going to be crying and crying. And you're just going to be saying, stop crying, And it's a fact, like, we both end up on both sides of that, right? Where it's like the day came, and someone's sitting next to you and they're just crying and crying and crying. Or you yourself are just crying and crying and crying. The material world it's like kind of like part of what it means to exist in this material world, right?
It's like a planet of crying.
Yeah, it really
You know
is.
what I mean?
Yeah. And this particular flavor of crying, right? When you feel like my love for you is so pure, how can you reject me, right? But then we go and do that to someone ourselves, and then they do that to someone themselves,
Oh, there's
It's like,
nothing worse than you're madly in love with someone and they just don't feel the same way about you.
It's
Or vice versa. Someone like, I love you so much. And you're just like, really? Me? Yeah, we have such a magical connection. And you're like,
I'm
do we?
interested in someone else.
I really, oh my God.
It's
What
like
to
love
speak of
stinks, right?
betrayal? What to
She
speak of
loves he
betrayal
loves
for
her, and she
another?
loves him, and he
What
loves
to
somebody else.
Yeah, what to speak of betrayal for another, or this, a very common one is someone's in love with somebody and they betray them for their like best friend.
Oh, it's
Oh,
very
it's like a
common.
double betrayal.
It's a double betrayal. This is actually there's these videos now. You see them like at least these are popping up on my feed. I don't know about you, Raghunath.
Interesting.
Okay, here's my algorithm, right?
Did you see that thing? Did I send you that reel?
Which one?
Was it from Saturday Night Live? And they're like on a double date, and the guys say, or the girls say, "Hey, let's do something fun. Sure, let's play a game. Let's look
Oh
at
yeah,
each other's explore page." And they just all start laughing, like, "Mine's all kittens. Oh,
right.
look at mine's crazy dog crazy dog videos." And they're like, "What do you think, Jeff?" And Jeff's like, "I don't want to play this game. Why would we?" And the other guy throws his phone in the soup.
Well, it's kind of like that. This is okay. All right, Raghunath, pull yourself together. No, but there are these videos out there, right?
Oh, Krishna.
Where people they stop a couple in the street.
Oh, that's horrible. You know what? I don't like that. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, this is the part of the hard, dirty part, painful part of the world that we need to explore, Raghunath.
Yeah.
Okay, they stop a couple in the street and they say, how long have you two been together? And they say, oh, 2 years now, 3 years now. Oh, for 6 months we've been going steady here. Do you trust each other? Completely, 100%, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, are you willing to put that to the test? And they say, we want, let's see if your partner here is on these, these
Dating
websites,
Dating
hookup
apps.
websites.
Yeah.
Dating, yeah. I don't think they're more than dating even websites, right? They're like hookup websites.
Right. Really?
And then a lot of times, like one partner starts to say, "Oh no, we don't have time right now. We don't, we got to go,
And the innocent partner's like, "Yeah, let's try it."
Yeah. Or they don't know like what's about to happen, and they say, "Tell me your name and give me a photo," and then that there's some app that can just immediately find out whether they're on these sites, and then they say, "Look, your partner was on the site. They were active like last week," And the person's like, what is this? And then the person always denies it. That's fake. That's phony. But you just see that like people are out, and now here we get, here I just want to begin to walk the tightrope, But the thing is, especially because women have the ability, the power to find a sexual partner like that, right? It's like it's not a hard thing for them. So if they go onto those things, they get dozens of men that approach. If men go on it, they don't get any women, right?
No.
Because all the women are focused on certain men, a very small portion of the men. And so the options are really wide open for women to always be saying, is there a better partner out there for me, right?
Men are like dancing dogs.
Yeah. And you begin to see this pain and this despair set in right there on the spot in these videos where they're like, the betrayal is so painful, right? It's so painful. And so now we see Pururava, who was at the top of the world, right? He was feeling so good about himself, look at me, I'm this heroic man. I have the most beautiful woman in existence, and she, and she's into me. And all this enjoyment and her charm, I can enjoy her charms. And now in a fickle way, she's walked away. And now he's just the opposite, the polar opposite. He's swung to the other side and he's feeling this intense pain. And now he's going to become a fool. He seems so admirable and so enviable, before. Right. Now he's going to become a fool. So we watch how it plays out.
Mara, have you ever been on a dating website?
Let's check right now.
Oh, yeah? Because Kaustubha's got an app that can find out.
Not since last week.
What's your full name?
Not since last week.
Yeah, I miss dating apps. I miss those. Not saying like I miss them. I've never been on one, but
Oh, you missed you never.
I'm my generation sort of missed that. Or I'm not saying, yeah, I think probably they're pretty good. Not the hookup ones, but like the dating apps for people who just don't get out, don't go to bars, don't. But I'm glad I didn't have it when I was a teenager. That's for sure.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. How about that? All right. Text 33. Once during his travels all over the world, Pururava saw Urvashi, accompanied by 5 companions, on the bank of the Saraswati River at Kurukshetra.
Okay.
With jubilation in his face, he then spoke to her in sweet words as follows.
Now this is the saddest thing, right? This is like,
yeah, I could feel it already.
but imagine it's not, and we see this too. We see like a guy will be so heartbroken and so just desperately hoping against hope that this woman is going to turn back to him, that even he's in front of her and all her companions, right? And he's just going to start to beg. Like his all his dignity is gone, right?
And that's the least attractive thing. It's not like the begging is going to get the girl back. That they're even repulsed by it.
But he's got no other option, right? But to beg.
Oh my God, it's so sad.
Here we go.
What to speak of if she's with another man? Then these crimes of passion. This is a very, very real
it can get
thing.
dark too.
It can get very dark. Cheaters. Ever watch that?
Cheaters?
Yeah.
No. Don't know. A television show?
Confronting people, sending private eyes against someone who's cheating on them, and confronting them at a dinner. That's on my feed.
Okay.
Oh, dear wife. Oh, most cruel one. Kindly stay. Kindly stay. I know that I have never made you happy until now, but you shall not give me up for that reason. This is not proper for you. Even if you have decided to give up on my company, let us nonetheless talk for some time.
Well, at least let's
just talk it out. We can work it out.
Somehow if I can talk to her, she's going to see how much I love her and she's going to change it. Nope.
No. They say that when a woman's over you, she's over you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Women, please chime in. Starting with Mara. Mara's like, I'm knitting. Okay. Someone else chime in who's... Okay. My dear wife, oh, goddess, now that you have refused me, my beautiful body will fall down here. And because it is unsuitable for your pleasure, it will be eaten by foxes and vultures.
I got nothing to live for.
Let's see what Urvashi says. My dear king, you are a man, a hero. Don't be impatient and give up on your life. Be sober and don't allow the senses to overcome you like foxes.
Okay, this is painful, right? It's kind of like he was hoping that she was going to, oh, maybe I missed you too,
Yeah, I missed you. We had something special.
But she's just kind of like, in one sense, she's being compassionate, right?
Yeah, he's not going to hear it like that.
You gotta, don't allow yourself to fall to this level, kind of, you need to pull yourself together. Your senses have overwhelmed you. And don't be like this, You're a man, you're a hero. Come on, be a man. He's like, but I want you. It's
not going to impress her. My dear king, you're a man, you're a hero. Don't be impatient and give up your life. Be sober. Okay. Rather, you should know that a heart of a woman is like that of a fox. There is no use making friendship with women.
Okay. Now, this, of course, isn't a commentary on womanhood as a whole.
Oh, I know what he means. I know what she means by that. I know exactly what she's saying.
You can find yourself in this position where you're going to love her and ready to give your whole life for her, ready to literally give your life for her. And she just may have her heart set on something else.
Are you ready for the most politically incorrect statements of the Bhagavatam? Here we go.
Okay.
Women as a class are merciless and cunning.
Oh.
They cannot tolerate even a slight offense. For their own pleasure, they can do anything adharmic or irreligious, and therefore they do not fear killing even a faithful husband or brother.
Okay, now let's slow down for a second.
We should read them all first and then make it.
I don't think there's too much more. Okay, you can read the next one. I think that's
Women are
good.
very easily seduced by men. I think so. Therefore, polluted women give up the friendship of a man who is their well-wisher and establish false friendship among fools. Indeed, they seek newer and newer friends, one after another.
Okay.
I could see this in low-class, uncultured women.
What
Men, low-class, uncultured men, they're pretty evil themselves.
Well, there's two things here, right? Let's talk about it on the like the literal level that she's speaking, and then let's take it on the broader figurative level, right? But they say with these dating apps, right, that the dynamic is, like, or there's these other kind of like video clips, right, where they'll ask a woman, like, what are you looking for in a man? Like, what are your standards? What's your they'll go down like a list, and they'll say like, how tall does the person have to be? Oh, I want a man that's 6 foot tall.
Sure.
How much money does he have to make? I want a man that makes at least $150,000 a year.
Sure.
What age group are we talking about? Does race matter? If he's a little overweight, no, he can't be overweight. So then once they go through, then they mathematically determine what percentage of men fit that description.
I'm out of there immediately. I don't even make it the cut the first round.
Well, the point is, it's like, okay, there's like 0.075% of men fit this description. That's who you're looking for, right? In other words, it's a very rare man that you're looking for. And then you go to many, many women, and they're all looking for those men, and they'll say, I can't find a decent man out there. But there are plenty of good men out there, that aren't 6 feet tall, right? Or that don't make quite that much money, or maybe they will make that kind of money in the future, but it takes you years to build up a career,
I'm a good person, Mara.
and so there's the nature of this world right now is that the most young men are without a steady partner in life, and most women are searching after these. There's these few men, right, that they're having relationships with, and then they're getting rejected by those men because those men have so many options.
Drop your standards, Mara. The wall is too high.
So we're all running around brokenhearted, right? Everybody's like suffering because of this. Whereas the Vedic culture said the parents would line up two people, right? Try to invest some good ethical values in them. Not everyone wouldn't be running around like saying, "Oh, look at all these options I have on my phone." Like that. All of that was thrown out the door. You kind of had a healthier thing. So there's an idea here that women do have a certain power by their beauty, like men have a certain power by their physical strength, and that can be misused.
By their money, come on.
Okay, well, that's there too.
By their money. I don't think women care that much about their physical strength. I think they care about their money. These are all generalizations.
I wasn't talking about what women care about. I was talking about what their power is.
What the man's
men
power is?
have a physical power that can be misused, and women have a physical power that can be misused. And so this is talking about how a woman can misuse that power. When she's got that beauty, every man is interested in her, right? Every man is interested in her. And she can be cold-hearted and even when a man is like, I'm here for you, I love you, I'll protect you, I'll give myself entirely to you. She can be like, I don't care.
Not
have
interested.
Option, A, B, C, D, I have all these other options there. So I think that's there, that can breed a fickleness. When you have that power, just like having physical power can breed a type of bullying, you can bully people or something like that. It can breed that in you. Having this kind of beauty can breed a type of fickleness in it that can be very cold-hearted. So she's talking about that. But there is this broader thing that maybe we can come back tomorrow, this broader idea of how when we search for happiness through material enjoyment, that the material circumstances that we're searching for, they're very fickle. They're here one moment and then poof, they're gone. And then we find ourselves desperate and in despair and blubbering and begging and pitiful.
how do you protect yourself from the illusion? If even the greatest thinkers fall into illusion.
Yeah, you got to go for that truth. Got to hear the truth on a daily basis.
On a daily basis.
And that's what Bhagavatam is. All right. We'll come back to this tomorrow.
Oh, wow. It's time. It's 8:03 already.
It's overtime.
Yep. It's over.
All right, Mara, what you got, Mara?
Mara, you got anything good?
I do.
Lots of good?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you for accepting me, even though I'm short, don't have money, don't have promise, balding.
Luckily, I'm not Urvashi. So, we want to be the illusionless.
We
Say it
want to
again?
be the illusionless man.
Oh, the
Yeah.
illusionalist. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Desire clouds perception.
Yeah.
Desire clouds perception. Ooh,
That's a good one. Yeah. Romance can be dangerous when we think it's a shortcut to fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we in love or just so alone?
Desire is never far from despair.
Oh, right there.
Oh.
Look deeper, break the Hollywood concept of love.
Break it.
We all have a kryptonite that compromises our integrity.
What's your kryptonite?
That's a good one. I'm curious. I want to know Kaustubha's kryptonite. He just
Gonna
starts
get
laughing.
some of that.
Crazy. Yes.
See what happens. Material energy will make a fool of us.
It will.
Huh?
All of us.
It's humiliating.
Romantic attraction keeps us in Maya.
This is so humiliating, right? He's blubbering like this right in front of all our friends.
Ooh.
Sad.
Don't let desire dominate intellect and discernment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The material world is a planet of heartbreak.
Oh, tears.
Tears. Men and women, don't misuse your power.
That's right. Don't get
Mm-mm.
toxic.
And
And
detoxify.
what's that?
Detoxify.
Detoxify now. Thanks for everybody joining us. Hey, would you want to change your life? You can do it. Join us in January, 200 and 300 hour yoga teacher training at the Govardhan Eco Village. Join me, Bobby Marchand, Lori Pag, Sita Sundari, Kaustubha, go to Raghunath.yoga, and look for the teacher training tab. Woo! We're filling up here. Kaustubha for our Memorial Day retreat. Looking forward to it. It's getting so beautiful out here. Me and Mara in the gardens. We're gonna have the whole place prepped with our Save a Weekend the weekend before. And yeah, then next stop, Italy. Wisdom of the Sages in Italy.
There's spaces available still.
You know what? I'm not sure. They got an email, wotsitaly@gmail.com to find out, because they added some space. Space got taken. But you know, people always drop out and then you never know. So if
Italy
you're
is
thinking about-
famous for those romantic stories of murder and all that, right? The broken heart, the betrayal, the murder.
Italy is
Oh, yeah. Passionate people.
passionate people.